Hey everyone, Commander Josh Hawkins here, and at the time of sending you this broadcast, this is the view from my cockpit. Sitting in a quaternary star system, watching as a tiny planet blazes around its parent star at roughly 200 kilometers per second. That's almost 7 times the speed that Earth travels around the Sun. I've been broadcasting these messages back to the bubble for the past 17 weeks now, in hopes that anyone back home was picking up on them. My intent in doing so was to share the sights I would find during my journey across the Milky Way Galaxy, so that anyone watching would be able to feel what it's like to travel across the galaxy without having to spend countless days, weeks, or months jumping from star to star and putting their sanity and their lives on the line in order to see all the wonders our Milky Way has to offer. And so far, I've managed to send back data from many incredible places I've visited. Welcome to Exploring the Milky Way Galaxy, Part 13. Along with some of the most beautiful astronomical objects, I've also come across many objects of human origin, which inevitably ended up crashing onto planet surfaces across the galaxy, including the wreckage of a few unfortunate souls who didn't survive their journey. But when I came across an escape pod whose occupant was still alive, I couldn't just leave her there to die. I brought the escape pod on board for safekeeping to be returned home once I made it back to the bubble. But I had no idea what the consequences of this action would ultimately result in. Her name is Commander Shannon Day, and through listening to the recorded logs stored on her escape pod, I've learned a little about her story. A member of the prominent organization known as Cannon Interstellar Research Group, she had set off on a science mission to investigate the source of something she called a barnacle. She had scooped up some kind of alien artifact which seemingly began causing damage to her ship and its systems. Much to her dismay, she was forced to eventually jettison the artifact in order to preserve her systems from degrading further. But although she believed the artifact to be the cause of the problems she was experiencing, it turned out that there was a much darker plot in the works, one of which she was not yet aware. Her ship had in fact been sabotaged by an assistant of Dr. R. Cannon, the founder of Cannon Interstellar itself. The saboteur was a man named Sosha, who confessed to his actions and apologized for his betrayal through a recorded message encoded in her ship's computer that played over her comm system only moments before her ship's destruction. During his confession, Sosha revealed that he had been forced into sabotaging her ship by some unknown third party, the identity of whom I have yet to discover, but who are clearly intent on finishing the job that Sosha failed to do. This became all too apparent yesterday when my ship's scanners detected the signal of a ship bearing in on my location. With their weapons powered up and their very direct demands for the transfer of the escape pod containing Shannon Day, it was quite clear to me that their intent was not to keep her safe, but rather to try and avoid a conflict with me in order to complete their nefarious goal without risk to themselves. But when I called them out on it, they opened fire and made one major mistake. They underestimated me. I made sure they wouldn't come back, but I imagine it's not the last I'll see of them, and just as they left, my ship picked up on something else. A message, heavily distorted and drowned out by the background noise of the galaxy. I've since managed to filter out the remaining noise and isolate the signal. This is what I heard.
This is Commander Bowen the Kotok of the Cannon exploration ship Draco's Wing, calling Commander Josh Hawkins with an urgent message. Commander Julian McCoy and I have been deployed from Virati under the direct orders of Dr. R. Cannon himself. We have a Priority 1 mission to locate you, revive Commander Shannon Day, and return her to the bubble. Commander Josh Hawkins, if you are receiving this message, please set your long-range array to wide-angle active subspace scanning. Watch for an unarmed ASP Explorer and a medical Orca. We have been jumping non-stop for days and are currently about 10,000 light years from your last known broadcasted position. We're carrying medical equipment to revive Commander Shannon Day from cryostasis and a coded message from Dr. Arcannon. Commander Josh Hawkins, if you are receiving this message, please respond so we may rendezvous and return Commander Shannon Day home safely.
Could this just be another ruse? A clever trap set to lure me in and catch me off guard? This commander, Bowen the Kotok, claims that he's unarmed and traveling alongside Commander Julian McCoy, who's flying in a medical Orca. I'd have no problem taking an ASP out, and the Orca, well, I'm not even sure if I believe that someone would have brought an Orca all this way. Even in an Orca outfitted for maximum jump distance, the number of jumps to get out here, well, no, this has gotta be some kind of trick. Only one way to find out though. I'm gonna have to find them before they find me, and then we'll see what's really going on here. Fortunately, it wasn't very hard to track them down. With their ships repeatedly broadcasting the request to contact me, I was able to hone in on their location using the hailing signal packets which contained all the pertinent information relating to their ship, including telemetry and jump data. Maybe they really were here to help. They certainly weren't trying to hide their location, but before I could make that call, I still have to be certain this wasn't some kind of trap. They were already close, roughly a dozen light years away, and based on the received telemetry data, I was able to calculate the next few jumps on their route. I jumped into a system only a few jumps ahead of them and had just enough time to power down all the non-essential modules and systems and enter silent running when they arrived.
Hey Bowen, what are the chances that he's even still around here? I mean, do you think we'll find him?
I don't know, Julian, but I know how important it was to Dr. Arcannon. So we're going to keep looking and listening. His broadcasts have plenty of clues. Maybe we just need to look harder.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I just hope he's still in one piece and not crashed on a planet somewhere. As far as we know, any one of those POIs that we've come across could have been him.
Even though I couldn't target them without revealing my presence in the system, I could at least make a visual confirmation that they were in fact flying the ship stated in the recording. An ASP and an Orca. The ASP's hull showed no signs of battle, no laser blasts or projectile damage, and with a shiny gold hull like that, any cover-up would have been easy to spot. The Orca flew smoothly alongside its wingmate, reminding me of those times long past when I used to take the interplanetary transport to the mining stations. I could almost hear the dinging of the fasten seatbelt sign illuminating as she floated past, unaware of my spying eyes. I felt confident enough that neither of these ships posed any threat to me or my guest, and with my silent running starting to run out, I made the call.
Hey, Julian, listen.
Bowen the Kotok, Julian McCoy. This is Commander Josh Hawkins. I've received your transmission and I'm prepared to meet. I'm transmitting rendezvous coordinates along with this recorded message. Be warned, I am armed and prepared to fight if I detect any other ships in the vicinity. The coordinates I transmitted were of a planet I had scanned a few jumps back. The system itself contained 4 stars and no planetary bodies save for one, a tiny little planet orbiting the 3rd star in the system, composed of 100% metal. At just barely 200 kilometers in radius and orbiting only a few light seconds away from its parent star, its surface was scorching hot at over 2,000 degrees Kelvin in areas, and my scans revealed an unusually high concentration of tungsten, tantalum, osmium, and vanadium. If it weren't for these high concentrations of metals, the surface of that planet would most certainly be a molten ocean, and even with them, the planet had an eerie red glow, as if at any moment it might burst into flame. The planet itself was racing around its parent star, making it very tricky to land on. All these features made it an ideal place to stage a meeting, since the heat from the planet's surface would easily mask my presence without the need for silent running, and the planet's distance from its primary star, as well as its orbital speed, would give me enough time to pick up any ships making an approach. With my message received, I watched as the two ships jumped to hyperspace to meet me at the rendezvous point, but with the Orca slowing them down, I would have plenty of time to get there ahead of them and prepare for their arrival. I hope you enjoyed this installment in the series. If you did, please click the like button and don't forget to subscribe.